Hi, welcome to episode 532 of The Corner of Knit and Tea. My name is Laura. I'm also known as Fluffy Kira on Instagram and over on Blue Sky. I blog over at thecornerofknitandtea.com, and that's where this episode and every episode's show notes will be. I have an Etsy shop called The Corner of Knit and Tea, where I sell my handspun yarns and knitting patterns. Hi, how are you? I hope that you are doing well. It is Monday, August 11th. It is hot and stormy here. I'm coming to you from just outside of Kansas City in Kansas, and the Midwest is just one of those places where you never know what the weather is going to bring. We had huge thunderstorms last night, and today it is steamy and hot and gross, and I'm really glad to be staying indoors. So I hope that you have had a good weekend. Ours was wonderful. This weekend we celebrated our 17th anniversary, which was absolutely lovely. We mostly just hung at home for most of the day, and then we went out to dinner together and just celebrated being together. We didn't exchange gifts this year. We've done so much traveling and everything that we were just kind of happy to be relaxed and together. I did a little bit of crafting this weekend. I did a lot of prepping for crafting, which is really the quilting process requires a lot more prepping than anything else. That's code for I spent a lot of time cutting fabric this weekend and no time sewing. So I don't have a ton to show you. My arm is still being a little persnickety, so I have been doing little bits and pieces each night to try and keep it from getting worse. And so I just have some really small things to show you today. And then I'll talk a little bit about quilting and a fun thing that I did on Saturday. And then that will be it. So I haven't done any spinning this week. I decided to take a week off from the spinning wheel and put the energy that I had into knitting. And then, like I said, I spent a lot of time cutting fabric this weekend. So let's start with, first of all, today I am drinking coconut coffee. It is from Bixby Coffee, which is a coffee shop in Kentucky, and it is available online. If I remember, I'll try and put a note in the show notes. It's really good if you like coconut. It just has this really warm, toasty coconut flavor and aroma, and the kitchen always smells wonderful when I make a cup of it, and Wes is always like, I want one now. So I'm drinking it in one of my favorite mugs. This is the Greenwood, I think. Green Ridge pottery. I got this at Maryland Sheep and Wool over 10 years ago. It's one of my favorites. It's a big mug. It holds about 16 ounces of liquid, and I try not to put quite that much coffee in it, but some. And I just decided that I needed a little something for the afternoon to get a jump start. It is 2 o'clock, and I had just finished my last meeting, so I wanted to take a quick break and come and say hi to you. So that is what I am drinking today. I am working on 2 knitting projects. Technically, I have a third, which is I am, right after I told you that the chicken studio was closing and that I thought my chicken knitting was winding down. She called last week and had some more yarn for me. So I have actually been working on a chicken as well. So I guess I will be doing that a little bit on and off through the fall. And she might have an idea for another business. So we'll have to think about that. Really, it's not for me to think about. She told me she's got some ideas for what she might like to do moving forward. And so I'm intrigued to hear, and maybe one day we'll be participating again. So I have a little bit of chicken stuff going on, but then I also have 2 main knitting projects. The first is Casa Pinka's mystery knit-along. I was going to say maker knit-along, but that's not right. Mystery knit-along called Hiss and Vinegar. This started about 3.5 weeks ago. Friday will be the 5th. Let me think about this. We've gotten 3 clues, and then last week was a week off. So it's been 4 Fridays so far, and this will be the 5th Friday. So about a month, a little bit, right around a month. And it is for a the directions suggest you have 3 skeins of fingering weight yarn in very contrasty colors. And it turns out that the knit is a bias knit wrap. It's basically a sampler, which is quite a bit of what Casa Pinka does. I'm trying not to give anything away if you don't want to know about it. But it's basically a sampler wrap, which has a variety of different sections and stitches and colors and interplay. And if you look at most of her knits, that's exactly what they are. This one happens to be kind of rectangular, but it's knit on the bias, so it'll slant a little bit. So the first clues were lovely. I've now worked my way through clue 1 and clue 2. I have not started clue 3 yet. So I am a little bit behind because Clue 3 came out not this past Friday, but the Friday before, and I have until this next Friday when Clue 4 comes out. So I doubt I will get there because I'm trying to work on it in between other projects. I tried to get a few other things into the rotation, but I am working on it. So I'm going to pull it out and show you. So if you do not want to see Casapinka's Hiss and Vinegar, if you are working on it, again, I am only through Clue 2 and there is still a whole nother clue out. So if you are working on it and are just a little behind and you don't mind seeing it, great. I have 4 colors, and my colors are, I'll go through those real fast. This is Lusty Wench, and this is from Treasure Goddess Yarns. It is her sock yarn, which is 75% merino, 25% nylon, and it is her Treasured Toes sock yarn. It's the old base. The new base is a slightly different makeup. This is something from Lola Bean. I don't have the tag with me. This is a Lola Bean yarn colorway. They did it for a Ukrainian fundraiser. It came with a mini of yellow, but it's a blue and it's got speckles of dark orange and dark blue. And so it's really pretty and it kind of goes with the orange. Then for my third color, I started with, I only had a half a skein of this, but it's kind of a darker, turquoisey or tealy blue. And so those were my original 3 colors. And then I added from Emma's Yarns, Don't Call Me Peaches, a 4th because I wasn't going to have enough of the dark blue. And so I decided I needed to add a 4th color to the mix. And so the idea was that then I would have 2 blues and 2 oranges, and those would play really nicely together. I really, really wanted more of the blue. I'm just really mad that I didn't have a full skein to start with, or that I didn't pick a different color. But this will be an interesting substitute, and so now I have 4 colors to play with, which means I might not knit the pattern exactly as written because I may have to play with the colors a little bit to work that 4th color in. I don't want to simply just substitute it in for C because I want to kind of make my C last throughout, so we'll just have to see. Ha 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 ha. Okay, so now you'll want to turn away if you don't want to see this. This is what I have so far. So this up through this section right here was Clue 1, and then this is all of Clue 2, and I have just a couple more rows of orange to finish Clue 2, but otherwise I am pretty much there. So I'm very excited to see how these play out, and then I will be moving on to Clue 3, which is a slightly longer clue again. And so I guess I'm probably about... Right now, I'm probably, well, I'm 2/5 of the way through knitting because I think there are going to be 5 clues total. So I have the 3rd section, and then after that, I will only have 2 more sections. So I'm really pleased with it. The colors are not my favorite. Well, blues obviously are okay, but it's not colors that I would normally pick for something. I really went through and picked skeins that I thought went together, but that I didn't have other plans for. And so far, I am super, super pleased with it. So I may even keep it. I hadn't decided what I was going to do at the end, whether I was going to give it away or keep it, but I'm just really, really happy with it. And it's been some fun stitches to learn and play with. Nothing super complicated, lots of kind of stripey, and then a few other extra stitches that when put together in different combinations and patterns make it really fun. So I don't usually do knit-alongs like this, and I don't know that I'll do another one anytime soon. I really don't need more shawls. I have 2 drawers full. But I really did kind of want to do this, and it was great summer knitting, particularly when I was on my trip, and I am excited about finishing it. Honestly, the only reason I have given it a little bit of a back burner is because I got some chicken knitting, and then I started on a second knit, which also is somewhat time delimited, and since my arm is bothering me, I want to make sure that I get it done in time. So that brings me to my second knit, which is a sweater for Miss Roxy for her birthday. She will be 12 this fall, and so I am knitting her a sweater. She wanted kind of a teal yarn, which I ended up not getting exactly teal. It's like a real dark green, but it also has hints of blue in it. It's almost like a blue spruce. And that is because the teal that I found was the same teal I knit her a sweater in a couple years ago, and I just didn't want to repeat the same thing. So I am using Malabrigo. Rios in the colorway. I'm going to call it Pines. I called it something else on one of my other podcasts, and I'm not going to repeat that, but it is like a blue-green spruce. So it really is, it's kind of a dark green, but it also, to me, it also looks like very kind of bluish. And so I'm going to go ahead and go with it. And she decided she wanted a cardigan. I give the kids 2 choices every year. I ask them whether they want a pullover or a cardigan, and I ask them what color, because I do want them to feel some ownership in this and to get to express something. I also don't want to knit entirely to spec, because that's not as much fun either. So I picked out a cardigan for her, and I am blanking on the name. So actually, let me just, I put it in the notes in the last show episode. So let me pull that up. It is, come on. I think it's Calliope. No, it's the Cove Cardigan by Heidi May, and unfortunately it is only available on Ravelry, so I do not have a link to it, but I have the details on my blog, and she does some really nice kids patterns, many of which don't look super like kids patterns. So my deal with kids patterns, particularly for someone who's going to be 12, is that I don't want it to be all hearts and ruffles and whatever. She likes dresses and things, but like she's not a super girly girl, and I don't want to just perpetuate that stereotype. And I'd like to knit her a sweater that will be interesting, but that she'll enjoy wearing. And Heidi May has a lot of designs that some of them are very like cutesy for little, but she also does like going into 10, 11, 12. She has some others. So the sweater on Ravelry is modeled by a littler girl. And actually, as it turns out, the pattern only goes up to 10 and 11. So I am actually winging it on making the pattern just ever so slightly larger. But basically what I have done is I have sort of looked at I'm using my tech editor knowledge, and I'm also looking at the ways she has increased in between the ways she has graded between the sizes so far. And I'm sort of just applying that. I think I'll probably be okay, because I don't want to be super graphic. Roxy hasn't all the way gone through puberty yet, so her body is not shaped like a woman's body. It's still kind of shaped like a teen's body, so like I don't have to add extra in the front, and like she doesn't have hips and things like that yet, so I'm just gonna kind of grade it going off of kind of the child sizes and just make it ever so slightly larger. I'm also going to, she has shot up like a beanpole. She is almost as tall as my mom now. No, my mom's not very tall. My mom's only 5'2", but she is almost my mom's height, which means she's also almost my height. And she is just long and skinny, and she's like all legs for days. So I am going to add probably an inch or two at the bottom of the sleeves and at the bottom of the cardigan, hopefully, so she'll get 2 seasons out of it, because she is just shooting up. I think she's going to be, so my family is not tall. My mom is 5'2", I'm 5'3", my dad is 5'10", I think, 5'9", 5'10", and my sister was the runt of the family forever, and then she ended up being 5'6", so she's got several inches on me, and Roxy's father is over 6 feet, so I think she's going to be probably between my sister and her husband, so she's going to be super tall, and I'm so excited for her, because it hasn't always been a pleasure being short. You can never reach anything off the shelves. Anyway, so I'm going to add some extra length to the cardigan is where I was going with that. So I did cast on and start this week. I am alternating skeins every 2 rows, because Malabrigo is notorious for having quite large differences in their dye lots, but I do love their yarn, and the reason I choose Rios is because it is superwash and it can be washed in the washing machine, and I feel like for kids that is really, really important, and I have knit the kids other sweaters and they have held up well to washing. They do, I will say, they lose a little bit of their luster and texture after you wash them in the washing machine and dry them the first time. The yarn definitely looks a little bit different, but it doesn't pill a lot. It doesn't shrink. It doesn't, it's not been washed enough that it felts. So the kids are able to wear their sweaters and enjoy them, and then my sister is able to clean them easily. So that is why you see me continually knitting with Malabrigo Rios in all different colors, because it is just a beautiful yarn that also for me works as, it's not exactly a workhorse yarn, but it works really well for the kinds of knits I want to do. And yes, I could just buy plain Cascade or something else, but I have been spoiled by hand-dyed yarns. And so Malabrigo Rios is a good like midway. Also pricing wise, it's kind of midway between workhorse yarn and indie dyed yarn. So that is where I have landed, and this is what I have so far. This is mostly a basic raglan top-down sweater. The one special thing that it has is it has kind of a fun lacy panel. It's like leaf lace on the front of the cardigan on one side. And so I believe these holes will be used for the buttons that we're going to go ahead and put in, and the other side will have a button band. So that's kind of fun. I'm through 2 repeats on that. I'm basically 20-ish rows in. And again, this is just a simple raglan. It's a knit one front and back at the sleeves. And so I am just working on her size. And like I said, I kind of winged it with whatever I needed to. I'm really pleased with the way it's knitting up. It is definitely a semi-solid that has some variation, but it looks really nice. And again, I think it's kind of a cross between a dark forest green and a dark kind of blue spruce. And so I'm hoping that she will like that. I do not have buttons picked out yet. That will be my next hurdle, but for now I am going to try and get through as much of the body as I can, just going kind of 10 rows at a time, and hopefully we'll get through this fairly quickly. I have until October, so I have all of August and all of September to really put in work on this, and I think that will be fine, but I did want to get it going, which is why I have not totally been concentrating on the shawl. So that is what I've got so far. I'm just really pleased. I actually hadn't looked at I worked on this. I did the second 10 rows on this last night because I started it earlier this week. And so the second full leaf came in and I was like, oh, now I see the pattern. Because when I just had like this much of it, I really didn't understand what I was looking at. But now it's really pretty. So I'm very excited about that. And hopefully she will love it. So that's Cove Cardigan by Heidi May. I did not do any spinning this week because, as I said, I wanted to give my wrist a break. I don't know if I will do some this week or if I will continue to try and move forward on my knitting projects. I would love to get into more fiber. It's so much fun during the tour, and I really, really, really want to keep spinning, but I also don't want to get myself into trouble and then have to take more time off knitting. It's such a double-edged sword because I do what I like, and I keep doing it, and then I injure myself, and then I have to back off quite a bit, but I just want to do more. But if I don't back off, then I don't get better, and then it's weeks of not being able to do anything, and it's really the pits. I wish I were 20 years younger when I could still just knit for like 8 hours and not feel it. So so the other thing that I did, which was super fun, was on Saturday, my sewing guild, I'm a member of the Modern Quilt Guild of Kansas City, and we did a Zoom sewing day. And I don't know if they've done it before, but it was a blast. So basically we just all got on Zoom from our own sewing rooms. And at the very beginning, the host, who was someone from the guild who like volunteered to host the day and put up the Zoom connection and whatever, had everyone go around and introduce themselves and talk about what they were working on. And you could ask questions about projects and whatever. And then we kind of got into sewing, and someone put on some tunes so that we could listen to some stuff. And there was lots of conversation and laughter. And it was absolutely lovely. And I only participated for a couple hours because that day was our 17th wedding anniversary. And so Wes and I spent the afternoon and evening together, but I joined for several hours in the morning, and it was really, really lovely. So I have an iPad now, and so I took that over to the table, and honestly, what I needed to do was cut fabric for my new quilt, and I had a lot of cutting to do. I needed to turn a fat quarter bundle into a lot of squares and rectangles, and then at a few yards of background fabric that needed to be turned into squares. And so I basically spent 2.5 to 3 hours this weekend on my feet cutting fabric. And I would normally say, I will say that is my least favorite part about quilting. Not my thing at all. I hate that part. That's just prep that I wish I could time. I wish I could be sewing. And I also dislike it because I feel the need to be like very accurate on cutting, and I'm not very accurate. And so it's just not super fun for me. But doing it while I was part of the meeting was a total blast because everybody was talking and sharing tips and tricks. People were asking questions. People were giving answers. We were making jokes. It was just super fun. And honestly, the 3 hours pretty much flew by. I knew when I was done that I had been cutting fabric because my hand was a little sore and my knees were a little sore because for some reason, every time I cut fabric, I lock my knees. I think it's because I'm nervous about making errors in cutting the fabric. And so I kind of tense up. And so I could tell when I was done because my knees are always sore when I'm done, like my legs are sore because I've been holding them steady. But it was really a blast. It felt like it went by in no time, and I got all of my fabric cut. So basically this weekend I can do nothing but sew if that's what I want to, and that's what I want to do. So, I am making, it's kind of a star quilt, and so I will be working on a bunch of the different pieces. Basically what I need to do is I need to sew squares onto rectangles to create my star points. And so that is going to be a massive process that I'm going to undertake this coming weekend, and hopefully get a bunch of that done so then I can start assembling my blocks the following weekend. My hope is that I can put this quilt top together in a few weeks, and then I think I'm going to send it out to be long-armed, and then I can give it to the birthday girl. Her birthday was in June, but the fabric didn't come out until just around her birthday, so I had told her it was going to be a little bit late, but I would love to get this to her by early fall. So my hope is that I can work through it pretty quickly. And then I have a variety of things I would like to do. Not like I don't have a whole bunch more fabric for quilts, but then the other thing is that our guild is doing a charity sewing event, and we are making pillowcases for foster kids. And so I ordered a little bit of fabric this weekend. I know, I don't need more fabric, except that I didn't really have kid-friendly fabric. And I have a standard pillowcase pattern that calls for basically 3/4 of fabric A, 3/4 of a yard of fabric A, which is your main fabric, and then 1/4 yard of fabric B, which is your accent fabric. And I realized that if I ordered 2 yards of fabric, one in each colorway, and they meant together, that I could do 2 pillowcases and I could just swap the proportions on them. So I went ahead and ordered 4 yards of fabric so that I can make 4 pillowcases. So that should be coming in the next week or two, and my plan is to make those. I'm just going to use kind of the burrito pillowcase method. I will find a video and link it in the show notes so you can see what that is. But my plan is to just kind of make a couple of those and turn those in October, which is our charity project for the quarter. And then I have several other quilt ideas. I have another small quilt idea for my wall. I have some bigger quilt ideas. So now that all the travel is over, I would like to get back to a somewhat regular sewing schedule and spend some time at it. So I think that's all I'm going to say for the week. That's already 20 minutes of me blathering on about almost nothing. So I hope that you are doing well. I hope that you're finding wonderful projects to knit and spin. It is August 11th, and any day now, I feel like my fall knitting bug is just going to kick in, although maybe it needs to wait for it to be a little cooler again, because it is quite toasty, and in 90 degrees, I do not need a wool sweater, but I am excited to get started on fall things, and I hope that you are too. So I will say, have a great week ahead. Happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sipping, and I will see you next time. Bye.